All right, hey, what's up, everybody? This is DJ Keo, and today we have a special show. I got my man DJ Rasta Root in the house.
What's up? What's up?
All the way from Atlanta, Georgia.
Yes, sir.
And so I want to do something a little different for the show because normally I talk about DJ equipment and just my thoughts about DJs, but I want to bring somebody else who is a professional and has reached a higher level. Because how many titles do you have? So you're a DJ. A producer, CEO,
manager, inventor.
There you go.
Brand marketer.
There's a lot of stuff right there.
Brother, son. No, pet
There's
owner.
A few titles. So first thing first, I want to talk about equipment. So when you got started DJing, what did you have and what did you learn on?
Well, when I originally started DJing, which was in 1989. Freshman in college, the college I went to in Pennsylvania, they actually had like an on-campus alcohol-free club called The Dive, and they had Technique 1200s, a Newmark 19-inch rack mixer, and then all the speakers and stuff. So that's where I started actually spinning. And then from there, over the summers and going into heavy credit card debt with those predators, 21% interest rate. I got a couple 1200s. And
brand new or used?
They were brand new. People didn't know back in the day, but at Circuit City you could order them. They wouldn't be on the floor, but you could order them and they'd come from somewhere mysterious.
Yeah.
And so I got a pair for a few. I got it probably for 800. Probably ended up paying 16 after the interest rates and late. You know how that goes.
See, that's the thing though. For people who just started DJing today, they get their controller and their laptop, and that's pretty much all the expenses they ever have to pay for.
Yeah, with DJing back then, of course, you get your gear. That's the first step. And then you still got to go and get the music now. And if you want to get tricky with it, you got to get doubles of the records. And if you want to be multi-genre, you have to get the house music, the reggae, the dancehall, hip hop, R&B, soul. It's basically like a rabbit hole, if you will.
Yeah, for sure. Because I think most people who started DJing, at least when they started on vinyl, they only focused on one genre and that's it.
Right.
So, because when I started in high school and I only played hip hop, and then I kind of branched into R&B a little bit, and I never did reggae, I never did soca, I never did dance music, and then it slowly just worked my way into the other genres, but I only did hip hop at first. But today with the laptops, people can just go in. So I think basically you kind of get you're more of like a jack of all trades instead of a master of at least one or two. Sure. And it's kind of easy to I can play reggae, I can play soca or whatever, but do you really know how to play reggae or soca?
That's the thing. I think you get by based on the crowd that you're playing for.
Yeah.
If they have some type of, for example, Caribbean influence, they'll appreciate your efforts. You know what I mean? Or whatever you're playing, house or whatever, but they know it's different than when you're getting someone who that's all they play.
Oh, there's a huge difference.
It's a huge difference.
And so we're in Toronto right now, and Toronto has a huge Caribbean culture.
Right.
And there's a lot of people here, and it matters to them how you play music.
Right.
So you can't just come in I have some reggae songs, let me just play it.
Right.
You have to play a certain way in a certain order.
There's an etiquette to it.
Yeah, there's an etiquette to it. I don't think there is that for most music genres, because I feel, especially with West Indians, they'll let you know if you're playing it wrong.
Right, exactly.
Whereas a lot of people they'll stop dancing, but Jamaicans will let you know.
They're very verbal, right? Exactly.
How long was it before you moved from amateur to getting into the actual doing parties and getting paid for it?
So when I started DJing at that spot at college, I actually didn't play for anybody for about 6 to 8 months.
Okay.
I took the same 2 records and I would do the instrumental to acapella back, and vocal version to instrumental, and just practicing mastering the pitch changes and the tempos and getting that down. And I think finally after 7 or 8 months, I decided that I'd give it a shot. Had an on-campus event Friday or something, and then played, not for long. I only had my repertoire was very short, so I played for maybe 30 minutes, but that's how I kind of got my feet wet. And then from there, I kind of didn't really stop doing it, almost failed out of school because I was doing it so much.
Yeah.
Just practicing, and that's all I would think about. And then two of my roommates and I got money together and started getting speakers, and then I had the turntables, and then we started doing gigs on campus for the fraternities and sororities, and then from there we were able to branch out to the other colleges. We offered as like a service to the surrounding colleges.
So you started basically as a mobile DJ and
absolutely
just doing whatever.
Yep, absolutely.
I think when you're first starting, like the mobile DJ is the best way to get into the business because you experience different types of parties and you really learn on the spot versus if you just go right into touring or whatever. Like you need that experience of like, this is what's going to be like with a shitty crowd.
Oh, totally. I mean, you go into a college, like we would go to like Bucknell University, and they'd put us in this huge, not a gymnasium, but it seemed like a gymnasium where there's no way you're filling it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you kind of question yourself, like, well, is it because of me they're not there, or when they dance to 3 songs and leave the dance floor and it's empty, you're like, there's some hard knocks. Like
no, you have to understand, like they're gonna dance for a little bit and they're gonna leave, and then how are you gonna pull them back?
Exactly. And if you don't, do you feel bad or not, or is it just the nature of the beast?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, when did you know that, like, okay, I can do this as a career? Like, this is just not a hobby anymore. Like, was there like a moment where it changed?
I always wanted to do it as a career. Because I liked it so much. I figured if I did something I like, it wouldn't feel like work, you know? So I really, I guess, even when I graduated from college on time, I put all my chips to say that I was gonna, make it a career. I wanted to go spin in Japan. So I ended up applying to the JET program, which is the Japan Exchange Teaching Program. Because I figured out it was the cheapest or least expensive way to get to Japan. Because they fly you out there. You're cushioned by a teaching job, and on the weekends you can do what you do. And it worked out that way. So I got in the program as a Canadian JET, even though I applied in the States.
Yeah.
And then was there for 3 years. And that's when I really got my playing in front of people chops, where I moved away from being a mobile DJ and became a club DJ.
Okay. Yeah. Tilt the mic down a little bit because I think it's too high.
Right here?
Yeah.
Cool.
That's kind of ballsy, just like investing in yourself like that and saying, I'm going to go to another country and just go for it. I feel there's a lot of people that they're not willing to invest in themselves because it's kind of easy to them, or, their friends DJ or their friends, they want to party. So like they're just in it. And then now I'm a DJ.
Right.
Like, there's a big separation between people who are willing to invest in themselves and willing to, because it's like if it's a business, if everybody's just giving you things, you don't really feel like I got to put my all into this as a company. And it changes for how well you're going to play, how much you care about your parties and your name behind something.
Sure.
So did you like put in your own money for promotion to like promote your own parties?
Yeah, I think definitely in Japan. So in Japan, I would DJ at an on-base club on the Fridays. Saturday I would do an off-base club, and then Sundays I would do a club in another city.
Okay.
The part of actually spinning there and being a minority, that is actually the billboard. That is the advertising. So word gets around. Not even if you're good or not, just the fact that you're, an African American person in a place where it's, 95% Japanese. And on top of that, if you are around a base, you don't look like everybody else because your hair is long. I had dreads at the time, so you really stand out. And that in itself can be a calling card or advertising. But yeah, I would definitely throw my own parties and tried my hand at the party promotion thing. But it's limited because of the way business is structured in Japan. You can't really move as freely. There's a lot of, I wouldn't say Yakuza influence, but there's that influence where you can't just move the way you want to move. Like, you can't go spin. If you spin somewhere else, they're going to find out, meaning where you're actually hired to spin, and they'll sit and talk and be like, you really can't go over there. Like, it's competition. So it was definitely an interesting lesson, and also kind of intriguing to be kind of at the outskirts of that culture and that dark culture, but you're still protected,
What type of music did you play when you're over there?
It was the same thing. We play mainly, I broke it down to, house wasn't as popular there, so I was doing R&B was big, hip hop was big,
okay,
dancehall reggae was big. I didn't necessarily acquiesce to like Japanese rap or Japanese pop music or anything like that, because the places I spun at were so close to the military bases.
Okay, so yeah, you're basically playing English music anyway.
Sure,
like that's what they want to hear.
For sure. But the good part about it is I feel like it was definitely the place where I was able to learn how to read the crowd, because, you know, you're playing for people that don't necessarily speak English as a first language, a large majority of people. So you have to figure out a way to play the music that's going to keep their attention beyond the beats or the melodies or the fact that they might have heard it or on MTV or something like that.
So what type of hip hop did they like? I guess they embrace more. Yeah. Did it matter, or is it just the music?
back then it was so that would have been, I was there from 94 to 97, so it would have been early in the night. You could play all the, you know, the Mary J. Blige and all that stuff, the like Bad
the New
Boy,
Jack Swing, that kind of stuff. Or
you could a little bit, but there was a little more grimier hip hop, so it would have been more like KRS-One,
okay,
like the J. Roo. Yeah, you could boom bap it out there, definitely. And then as the years went on, it changed to like more of the Bad Boy, a little more polished, if you will, rap, you know. So
I think it kind of affected everybody the same way. Like hip hop just slowly turned into the shiny suits thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. For sure. And you just have to you know, it's just what the people want, you know, like musically, you know.
So did you focus more on scratching or blending and mixing, or what was your forte back then?
I think my mixing then, and you know, to this day I still hold that dear, is actual beat mixing and beat matching and blending. I scratch, juggle, but I do that more as like a bonus to the mixing.
Yeah.
It's almost like not just being a turntablist or a club DJ, it's somewhere in the middle. So I can do all this stuff, but I'm you said, like a jack of all trades, where I can kind of the idea for me is to keep people dancing. So if you start doing too many scratches, if it's not a scratch crowd, they're either gonna stop, leave, they're gonna look at you.
Yeah.
In awe, perhaps, or what are you doing? It could go either way, you know. Yeah.
So like, did you for mixing and stuff like that? Because I feel like it's almost like a lost art at this point, because we have screens and there's so many things that it just they help you and they become crutches after a while. So I guess the thing I'm trying to say is that, like, how important was to you to mix like the sounds versus just getting it on the same tempo? Because I think
are you talking as far as like just beat mixing in general? Or
for beat mixing, because I feel today people stop at this thing's the same tempo and it's the same type of music, rather than these things sound good together in the first place.
Yeah, I think there's two sides to that. For me, I think if you're really good at mixing, you can do it in a way to where two things that typically wouldn't sound good together can sound pretty good together.
Yeah.
Some things just don't match. The other side of it is doing things creatively. So even if you're mixing two songs, as long as you're being creative, to me, and it translates to where people hear it and they understand what the intent was, I think you've kind of done your job. I don't think there's any. I'd hate to put rules on that, you know.
Yeah. We can move off of that to new equipment. Is there anything that excites you in the music industry now that you want to jump on? Any new type of gear or anything like that?
I mean, I'm kind of biased, to be honest with you, because there's the Rain 12s coming out, which are the ones that look. It's pretty much a CDJ turntable, no arm.
Yeah.
And then you have the Phase DJ module that goes on the vinyl, and it just reads through the computer, and you can scratch also without head shells and needles. The problem I have with that is I have a company called Smoking Shells, and we do head shells. So
I think you want to keep everyone in the needles.
It's just hard. It's like, I'm like, what are they doing? And then I'm like, that's cool, but then what are they doing? So
yeah.
But I'm gonna side with saying keep it pure. It's almost like, it's weird. DJing is one of the few things that people can come in and out with just being able to buy their way in. Like MCing, you can't really buy your way in and just be I'm rapping now, or even with graffiti, you can't fake it.
Yeah, you have to learn
how to do it properly. You can't fake it.
That's
with breakdance, you can't fake it. DJing, it's come to the point where they give you the technology that you can fake it. Yeah, and that's probably the problem. Now that I think about it, that's the problem I have.
Well, like there's new technology from Spotify that's just mixing the songs on Spotify now.
Right.
So like, do you feel like there's a point where DJs are become obsolete, or there always need DJs for a while.
I think there'll always be like a resurgence of like vinyl culture and DJ culture and the pure form of it, because I think it is a pure form. So you could have variations of it, but I think ultimately people who gravitate towards the new technology, that's what they were meant to do anyway. And people who tether between both will come back to DJing because that can only go so far, like the technology. Then there's interference. You just never know what things are going to affect the technology. Whereas with the turntables, and I guess I had the same feeling when Serato was around. I was like, what is this? You know what I mean? But then I was like, this is kind of, I didn't take as long as I thought I would. Yeah. But then I was like, well, you still have to be able to DJ. I still have to know what I'm doing. Yeah. I just have to learn the technology. So I was a little more open to it. But, it's a different time. I understand things change. And I think there are going to be DJs who are going to keep the art form pure and who are going to keep reminding and teaching people what it actually, where it started and its evolution, and as long as that keeps going, I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, I agree. Do you think there is like certain rules to be a turntablist? Can you use the 12s, the Rain 12s, and still be considered a turntablist without the needles?
I mean, I would say no in my head, but if I look on Instagram now, there's everybody at South by Southwest and at the Red Bull Freestyle where we're doing exactly what you just said. Yeah. Doing their routines without, the use of the needle and stuff. And it could be the novelty of it, meaning, it's something new. Let's try it out and let's post a video. Does it have longevity or staying power? I don't know. Only time will tell. But I venture to say that, like I said, there'll be the people that will want to use it. And then other people will be like, it was cool, but I still want to use that.
See, now, I made a YouTube video about my thoughts about the Rain 12s, and it was very controversial because my thought was, I like them, they look really cool, but if I don't use Serato, they're useless to me. If Serato crashes, they're useless to me. And I like technology where I have options. Sure. Like, I have this big thing that looks like a turntable, but I can't play records on them.
Exactly.
And so, like, for me, like, they look amazing. And, a lot of people in my comment section were, okay, well, I don't ever have to use needles again. And for me personally, I was like, well, I don't really run through that many needles. So, like,
it's not like it's not like socks.
Yeah.
Like, gosh, I keep having to change my socks. Yeah,
it's annoying having to buy a new control vinyl, but I don't really have to buy that. I have a ton of control vinyl.
Of course. So I think the bottom line is just it boils down to laziness. Yeah. And if you allow the laziness to win, you're gonna for sure want to just plug it and go. But when you get to that gig and there's people waiting to hear your music and something doesn't go right, and you don't have the technical background to troubleshoot it on the fly or switch to vinyl, like you said, or whatever, then you're in trouble.
See, because this has happened to me before on a gig. I was doing a Christmas party. I talked about it before on my channel, but I was doing a Christmas party and I was using Tractor. I'm more Tractor than Serato, but I had my Tractor set up and I brought my SL3 box, and Tractor was buggy, it's crashed or whatever. So right before I was just about to start the event, I switched over to Serato and I was able to keep going like nothing happened.
Right, exactly.
But it's only because I have options that I was able to do that. Sure. And I feel like, at least with this technology, I'm just so used to, well, if this record's bad, we'll just change the record. The needle's, scratchy, just change the needle. Right. And just keep going.
Right.
So I think for me, I'm interested in new technology, but I wouldn't say like I'm a Luddite, because I'm always up on the newest things. So like the phase thing is really cool to me, but like the 10-hour battery life, I'm kind of
that. And if you don't have I can see if they had a third one. Yeah. Where if it does, you can just switch it really quick. But someone's going to be like, oh, I was so drunk, I forgot to charge my phase. Yeah. And then what? Yeah. Which I want to see happen. I'm not going to lie. I want to see that happen. But, yeah, it's a different generation. And I don't want to be the older grumpy guy that's saying in my day, or, you might think that. I'll think it all day. I'm just not going to say it. How about that?
I say it and I get backlash for it, but I'm okay with that. Yeah. Like, I'm cool with that. So how did you move from DJing to producing, or was producing always in the background for you?
I always felt like that was like the natural progression of things. Just seeing my favorite producers, where they started, whether it was Pete Rock, Premier. I realized that it could be the natural next step. So in Japan in '95, I believe the MPC 2000 came out. Yeah. So I saved my yen. And with the help
You got
of
an
my
MPC?
girlfriend, we actually got the MPC 2000, and I was, on my way to making beats. I actually had bought a Dr. Rhythm 505 or one of those.
Okay.
And that's just,
those snares were sharp, but they weren't that good.
It was more like it made you want to really get a drum machine.
Yeah.
That's all it was. Because you make these quirky beats, and I've used some of the beats for intros of mixtapes, which I probably will never listen again. But I guess I say I was started in '95 with a Tascam track recorder, 8-track recorder, and then that, and then like a sampler that I found at the club I DJ'd at that had like 4 seconds. And you get your gear and you learn to do it, to use what you have, and that was it really. And from there I started working on music, and I kind of never stopped, if you will. It's definitely not, I'm not as passionate as DJing, but I can dabble in it, if you will.
Yeah, because a lot of people ask me, like, should I be a producer? Should I just straight DJ?
Right.
And I feel like the two of them go hand in hand. Like, you're going to learn music better if you produce.
Right.
And I think you appreciate DJing better if you produce.
That's fair enough.
So, like, I feel like you should, even if you're not going to become the next Timberland or Pharrell, like, you should at least be familiar with how these things work.
Sure.
And, immerse yourself a little bit into it. And I feel like the other thing too is that you can make adjustments to songs now. It's just so easy. So like I would just put an extra 4 bars in the front of a song, right, just to make it easier to mix. And these are the kind of things that help you get more involved into what you're doing and be more creative.
Absolutely.
How do you feel about like the samplers in Serato and Tractor? I think Rekordbox has a.
Are you talking as far as like where you can add the sounds, or are you talking the looping features?
Yeah, like the looping features and even adding sounds to your routine.
I think it's great. I think anything that can make the performance better. I'm all for it. I think as long as, at least for me and my style, as long as I'm still able to do my thing, DJing the way I like to DJ, and if I can fit that in to the routines or playing, then sure. So loops and tone play, and that's fun. That keeps you kind of excited about it because you're learning. You're constantly learning.
Yeah. I think especially too, if you play a lot of the same songs over, that can kind of breathe new life into your routine or just your club set.
Absolutely.
Have you like flirted with other DJ software, or are you just Serato only?
I've been using Serato since 2004.
Okay.
I don't remember when it was, but sometime in 12 or 13, I actually started. I got contacted by Native Instruments to be a trainer for the software, all the new gear, whether it was the drum machines or the interfaces, all that stuff. So I was doing that for a while, and it was weird because I had a relationship with Rain.
Yeah.
But Native Instruments was paying, so I was like, "Can I pull this off and do both?" And
gotta go where the money's at, man.
And it worked out. So I would do my gigs with Serato, but I would be teaching, going around traveling and teaching stores and teaching, guitar centers and different high profile DJs how to use the new gear. But I naturally like the way Serato feels. I
think Serato is more. I think it's the purest form of just playing vinyl. It has that closer feel than Tractor. Like I'm a big Tractor person, but Tractor, when you're scratching, it's a little bit rubbery.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't feel as tight as Serato is, because with Tractor, like it takes a while to buffer up and get the time code, whereas Serato is just instant. The second you play with vinyl, it just it snags it. So I think between the two of them, it feels a little rubbery.
Yeah,
and I think Tractor is more for producers and people who want to make remixes and stuff like that in their routine. And I think Serato's slowly moving towards that, but Tractor seems to be more for production and Serato seems to be more for DJing.
Gotcha.
I feel. Yep. So have you tried out Rekordbox? I
think I was forced to a couple times. I got to a gig. No, you know what? Yeah, I did. So I went to Qatar in December.
Okay.
And there was a military base. We did a show there, and they kept sending me the equipment list, and I kept seeing this controller on there, and it was like it had the Rekordbox logo, and I'm like, oh. So I had instead of taking my own gear with me, I learned to use it, and I've used it on some stuff I've done in LA, but I don't have a lot of experience using it.
Yeah.
I learned it enough to use it for the gig, and then never thought about it after.
I think between the three of them, I'm starting to love Rekordbox more than Serato.
Wow. Okay.
And I know it's blasphemy, especially on the internet. People get backlash, but I want the flame to come on YouTube.
Right.
But
Right.
I feel visually the Rekordbox 4.2, whatever, I think it feels more modern visually than Serato and Tractor is. And I think because Rekordbox was built from the ground up to be 64-bit rather than, because Tractor and Serato, they both just implemented it later on, and it kind of shoehorned it in, whereas Rekordbox from jump was like, this is going to be 64-bit. We're going to embrace all of our hardware, no matter what it is. Right. Because what you mix on the S9?
S9, yeah.
Yeah. So like they're like, anything with Pioneer logo on it is going to use Rekordbox. And so I feel between the three companies, Pioneer is really trying to dominate. So they're doing things that the other companies would never bother doing. So like trying to embrace, like for me, I don't have a Pioneer mixer. I still have a Z2.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And my Z2, I just plugged it in instantly. The Pioneer read it, and Rekordbox read it instantly. And I just did some MIDI mapping just for queuing and some other stuff, and it just started working. That's crazy. Instantly, like Serato would never do that.
Right. You need to take a whole day and a half.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And in Serato, still you still need their sound card.
Yep, exactly.
Whereas I think Pioneers, like F it.
Yeah.
Anything with the P on it, it doesn't matter.
Good to go.
Make this thing work. Right, so I feel like they're the company to watch for the future, but still, like whatever you're comfortable with, you just got to stick with that.
Sure, for sure.
So, would you switch between brands, or do you just like
brands meaning Serato?
Yeah.
I don't think I would switch, to be honest with you. I don't think I would switch. It works for me. I know it kind of inside out. From the Scratch Live days up until now, it's what Serato, was it DJ Pro?
DJ Pro now.
And then there's Serato DJ Lite.
Yeah.
Which I saw that online the other day, and I know my way around it. Yeah, it's not a thought. It's like I just go and I can play like without thinking too much. So
that's the thing for DJs. Like you want to, if you're in a DJ booth, you want to be able to, with your eyes closed, figure out where things are.
And then the troubleshoot aspect.
Yeah.
I can pretty much, based on my experiences and experiences of my friends, I can recall how to correct things. Most of the time, there's certain things you can't, but for the most part, if something happens, I know where to start.
One thing too is I think more people have embraced Serato, especially in North America. So like you can pretty much go into any club and you can plug in and don't have to worry if you're missing a cable or you don't have your mixer or whatever.
For sure.
So I think that's a huge factor. So one of the other things I wanted to get into was your relationship with Phife, because you've been known to be, his manager and his DJ, and you've gone on tour with him, and you've been his friend for a long time. So like, how did you get introduced to him, and how did you, I guess, work your way into starting to become his DJ?
Well, it's really crazy. It's an interesting story. I call it like my little hip hop fairy tale. So when I graduated from Gettysburg College in '93, which is in Pennsylvania, I was still I was doing my mobile thing for the year before I went to Japan.
Okay.
One day I got a call from the radio station that had spun on at Gettysburg, and they were like, "Hey, A Tribe Called Quest is hired to do a show on the campus," which was strange to me because it's a small liberal arts school.
Yeah.
For one of those spring festivals, they said, "Well, they have a press day. Would you come back and do the interview with them or whatever?" And I said, "Sure." So of course, huge fan of theirs. And Ali wasn't there, but Tip and Phife were there. Interviewed them. There's a VHS-C somewhere laying around. I gotta find it.
Yeah.
That was the first time actually meeting them. And then before I went to Japan, because I was a Canadian jet, I had to leave from Canada. So my whole family came over Caravana. We drove up in a van with all my stuff for a year. And then the night before I flew out, Tribe played with Craig Mack. I don't remember where it was, but that was the first time. Second time I seen him perform, but that close.
Yeah.
And then I went off to Japan. So that was my send-off to Japan. Go to Japan for 3 years, come back. A year after I got back, my friend calls me. He's like, "Hey, I'm working on a track with Phife from Tribe. We need some scratches. Will you come in and do them?" I came in and did it. Meanwhile, I already knew he was looking for a DJ because they had broken up. So I came ready in my head, business card, And we kicked it and, vibed off of the whole Caribbean thing, Trini thing. And then that was it. 6 months later, I get a call from the same guy saying, "Hey, Phife wanted to talk to you. He has a show at University of Maryland, College Park. He's looking for a DJ, and then that was kind of where it all started.
So, do you remember the song that you did the cuts for?
Yeah, I don't remember what it sounds like. I know the cuts I used. It was Ghostface. What was it? It was a Ghostface sample.
Yeah.
It was I can't remember the song, but it was Ghostface, and we did the bridge, vocal samples from the bridge. And I don't even know if it ever came out or anything.
No, it didn't come out. I bring that up because I produced that song with my brother.
Which one?
It's called World Renowned.
No, not that one.
Not that. Oh, okay. That's a different one.
No.
Okay, that's after us.
This was way after.
Oh,
no.
Okay.
This was before.
It was before.
I know that song.
Yeah,
I know exactly what you're talking about. It was Hands Up, Hands High.
Yeah.
It's about a year after the story I'm telling.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was like, whoa, what the?
No. This was actually, he was working on a song with the engineer who owned the studio for the Engineers Project. And Phife was in the verse.
I was about to say, like, that's crazy. Like,
yeah. But no, World Renowned. I know the beat. It's in my head. I know it.
Yeah,
absolutely. I know it. And it's weird you said it because for some odd reason over the years, if he goes to a radio, when he went to a radio station and they say, "Oh, you freestyle," that verse is the one he spits.
That verse was crazy. Yeah. And before I did this interview, I was trying to find the record, and I can't find the masters. I can't find anything.
I should have it on my laptop.
I found the case, and it's got World Renowned, and it has all the TV tracks and everything on it. And it says cuts by DJ Rasta Root, and it says the whatever was mixed at. I think it was mixed at Electric Lady, and I can't find the CD.
Yeah, because it was hip hop. Okay, you know what? Okay, you're right. So I'm lying. So the Ghostface scratches I did on the first track.
Yeah. The
bridge track was hip hop starting on the part. That's where.
Yeah.
So you're right.
That's why I was like, whoo.
Yeah.
Okay. That's wild.
But that's in a year period. It's in a year's time.
It's like I feel like it's almost a small world when people connect and you figure out like, oh wait, you're on that, you're in there. Like it's wild. So you met with Phife and you started doing tours and stuff like that. How was it like being a tour DJ versus being clubs and doing your own thing?
It's a good question. I mean, it's hard because you're like the MD. You control the music. God forbid it skips. They're looking at you. You know what I mean? At that stage, so it was a lot of. Yeah. You're having fun on stage, but you're really not because you don't want to have too much fun because the stuff's jumping everywhere. And every place you go, the equipment's different, the gear's different, it's set up different. Yeah. So I definitely learned my stage chops there with him, and we developed a lot of our chemistry on stage, which then in turn helped us off stage just be better friends because I knew by his body language, with him not even looking at me, what was happening and what to do. And that's one of the main things I miss about him not being here is that chemistry, which it was so hard to build, and then once you get it, it's like butter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, because I've seen you guys perform live a bunch of times, and like the energy is just insane. Yeah. And you guys know exactly what songs to play and when to play, timing, and how to hype the crowd. Our timing was really crazy, like hand movements without even rehearsing it. Just 15 years doing that. It just happens. Yeah, it's really, it's like it's being in a relationship and with your spouse, their quirks, how they move, when to talk, when not to talk, and all those things. And that's what it was like. It was just we spent a lot of time off stage hanging out, and then on stage, it was like one. Yeah. I think Phife was honestly, like, as far as famous people, Phife Dawg is one of the coolest people I've ever met. Oh, for sure. Just because he was so personable. So like if he didn't know you, you talk to you for like 2 minutes and it would be like you've known each other for 20 years. Like, right. It's just this cool vibe. And I really like that about him. And, like especially, just meeting new people and just being around just new things. Like it was like he fit in no matter where he was. I thought it was really cool. Yeah. So what was your connection to the last Tribe album? Like, how did you get involved in that? And, were you part of the creation process or more sort of?
It's really, that's an interesting question because I was also his best friend. It was the kind of thing where he was like, well, I'm not going to Jersey to record unless he comes. And, that's how we kind of worked. Yeah. And beyond that, I worked the logistics for the trip. So every time he was there recording, I was there. So I was there for the whole I wouldn't say so much creative as far as like, yeah, do this, do that, but it's more so like you could be between him and me. You can sharpen that verse up, change this word, helping fit words in, and just overall just being there like a cheerleader, like let's keep doing this and we can finish this because it's hard for them. It was hard for them to like recreate the chemistry of because they had been out of the studio for so long. So
it's a good long time.
I think they were both very. Everyone is skeptical of how is this going to work. We're different people. We're not kids anymore, So it was very like touchy feely and tiptoey at times. But I was, like I said, I was there, and I say I'm thankful that the album happened because it gave me a chance to spend a lot of time with him in his last few months because he lived in California, I lived in Atlanta, and we'd see each other every for shows and stuff. But we were spending 10 days down in Jersey and doing his video stuff for his album and whatever we needed to do. So I'm very thankful for that.
So were you working on his album plus We'll Take It From Here at the same time, or it was around the same time?
Well, he was already working on his album for years. We've had collecting songs and figuring out and dumping songs and then picking them back up or whatever. But his main thing was no matter what happens with Tribe, he was determined to keep working on his album and finish it. So part of my job, I think, without even us discussing it, was keeping us focused on, well, he's recording at night with Tribe.
Yeah.
Let's take use of our days. Let's go take meetings in New York. Let's shoot a video. Let's whatever we have to do. Let's take, just plan it out and make use of our time. And that's what we did.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Because I don't think people really appreciate like how much work goes into an album, let alone working on two at the same time.
I mean, honestly, and on top of that, him dealing with his health issues.
Yeah.
Like there was times I'd see him, we'd go to Tip's house and be there till 3, get home at 4, and he'd have to get up at like 6 to go to dialysis. And he had so much energy, I couldn't because he's kind of like a lazy, lethargic kind of person. He just like to chill. But in those last few months, he was so. I think he was excited because he got to hang out with his old friends.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, he got to, I guess, hang with me, but also work on his own stuff. You know what I mean?
Sorry,
is that the video thing? I thought you said it was 20 minutes. I thought the camera was.
No. This is going. Yeah, this is my phone. Sorry about that.
No, I'm saying I thought you said it stops after 20 minutes.
No. She's keep going. Yeah,
you just press record again.
Yeah.
Oh.
So we just keep going. Yeah, sorry about that.
I thought I was like, where's the... my shit's off. Okay.
You're a professional. That's why. Like,
I take his phone, put it in a lockbox.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Sorry. Go on. Good. We have to cut that out. So I kind of lost my train of thought about that. We have to definitely cut that out. So like you're recording, and he had energy in the studio, and so I think really wanted to ask is like, you move from that to putting out the album, and you basically have to do this on your own now.
You talking as far as his solo album?
The solo album.
Okay, yeah.
So like you kind of had a team, you guys working together, and then he passes, and then you're like, you have this great responsibility because everybody wants to see it.
Right.
There's so much interest on it immediately right after. So like, how'd you handle that pressure? Was it like you were just like, I just got to get this done for history's sake, or?
It's weird. I just found myself when he passed away and dealing with putting together the memorial at Apollo in New York.
Yeah, so I was gonna get into that.
That was crazy. That pretty much, I mean, it's crazy because there's so many moving parts that we had control of, but then at the same time, equally as many parts that we didn't that worked out. Like most of the stuff you saw, like Kanye showing up, 3 Stacks, everybody was there. Half of that was just there. They were there out of respect. The other half we put together. It was like putting together an award show. We got Angela. We had a relationship with Angela Wimbush, which is his favorite singer. So
that was
I talked to her, and it was hard for her because it was just hard. It's just hard, man.
You had performances there. You had people just like because at the memorial, people just walked up out of the crowd and said their piece.
It was crazy, and it was it's hard because at the same time you're trying to mourn. So or deal with the grief. So
at least process it.
It was hard. So I was working, and it was almost like you're working like in an autopilot mode. So I remember when I came back from New York, and I still was in such a habit of, because we got David Dinkins there. It was just it didn't stop. It just didn't stop. So when I got home, I was working on my computer for no reason.
Yeah. And
I just felt something pull my eyes closed, and it was like, you just stop. You're good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that is hard because I feel like I am charged with the responsibility of making his album great. So my main focus is trying to always stay focused and remember what exactly he wanted done and how he wanted to be presented, and keep that in mind with everything I do. And I'm treating it like he's here, and as far as like the same job and the diligence that I would do, because he trusted me. So a lot of times I would get a direction from him, but I would have to just move on my own anyway. So it's not any different in this sense. It's just a personal pressure, if anything, of like, am I making him proud? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like of all the people that were in his life, I feel like you was the perfect person to carry the mantle and move forward.
Yeah, it was definitely it's hard because you have his parents, his wife, his fans, his bandmates, my feelings. It's a lot it's a lot going on. So
because you didn't really have time to do anything, like even just the process of what happened, like you're just like, I gotta do more, like I could do this.
Yeah, it's like you just have to keep. The most I know I can do is be authentic to who I am, and in turn just do the best I can, which I would have done anyway. So that's not the hard part, is not doing the best I can. It's just making sure that everything around it, that's a secondary part of it, comes into place and plays nice with us. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So do you have any future plans to do with like Phife, or just music wise?
As far as the album?
Yeah.
Oh, well, so, we were working on the album.
Yeah.
And, we're 80% for the last year. We're
yeah.
I'd say in realistic terms, 50% physical, 50%.
Okay.
And the great thing about it is it's not like we're trying to scramble to make an album that wasn't already happening.
Yeah, because I feel like when Biggie passed, like they only had so many verses.
And don't get me wrong, we have like limited stuff from him, but we have a lot of stuff.
Yeah, you have more than...
We have a lot more, and a lot more direction. I have stuff that him and I have written down, so I think it's a good problem to have.
Okay. Yeah, you always want to have just a little bit more to work with, and he was such a beast recording that like it was helpful. Yeah, so he had different takes. He had stuff. For sure, that you could actually use.
There's a lot we can do, and I think the best part is I don't have to Frankenstein a lot of it. Like, the verses are there. Everything else is more like features, production, a little bit of production. But we were getting there. We were getting there.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird if you look on his Instagram page. The last picture that's on there was we had just taken some label meetings, and we came back because we're staying in Jersey. We came back over the bridge on the ferry, and he was like, and he's always taking selfies and pictures, and he was tired, like, no more pictures. But the last time he was like, let's take this picture. And I was like, and I was just tired, and I took it. But I'm so thankful that I just did it. That. Yeah, because it was like, he was happy because things were moving for him. Because it's hard being a soloist in a super group like that for people to really, any of them to be paid attention to. So when you feel like you're getting heard and you're getting some way, I think he was really excited about that. And I think that picture is really special because of what had happened during the day with us and those meetings, just even the conversations, and let people hear his music, and the fact that we came over the bridge was like almost like very symbolic. We came over the water and we made it back home safe.
That's amazing. Man. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is, so you started smoking shells with him. Was it part of the record label, or
no? I started smoking shells on my own.
Okay,
but he always was just really excited about it. It was weird. He would take pictures with the shell in his mouth, like he was smoking it. He just always very much an advocate for things that he knew I was passionate about. So it was that and Face Off Fridays. Even if he wasn't at Face Off Fridays, he would always post on his Instagram, if you're in Atlanta, come check out Face Off Friday. Da, 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 da. He was just really excited about it. I don't know why, but he just was like.
Yeah. Can you explain what Face Off Fridays is?
Yeah. So sure. So it's a venue in Atlanta called MJQ. It's one of the gems in Atlanta. There's no real dress code. It's literally underground.
Yeah.
Pretty grimy. It's like the tunnel, but not grimy. The tunnel. But it's So you've been So and so we started. I started a night there in 2004, and then in 2005 we named it Face Off Fridays, from the movie with John Travolta and Nicolas Cage. More so, it wasn't a competition, but two DJs getting together, kind of going head to head, but not in a battle sense.
Yeah.
But also a place where you can come and kind of take your work face off and just have fun.
Okay.
And it's one of the longest running monthlies in Atlanta. So this year's 14 years.
That's incredible. Like, 'cause most things last like 2-3 years,
exactly.
and people get tired.
Yeah. So we've had to reinvent in certain ways, but there's a core that has stayed the same. And he just gravitated towards it. And anytime he was planning a trip home, he would try and do it around the second Friday of the month so he could be at Face Off.
Okay, for Smoking Shells, what is it exactly, and how does it relate to DJing?
Sure.
Because I saw an interview you had, and you're talking about that you want to give back to the DJ community as well. It's just...
Definitely. And I'll start there. So I felt like, in my mid-30s, I was like, well, I'm not going to be wanting to DJ at a club for, forever. I don't want to do that. So I started, like, training myself to start thinking outside of that. Because worst thing you don't want to get pushed out where you're like, okay, this dude again? Oh, my God. And then so I was like, let me just be open to what the next step could be. Not trying to dig for it, but just be open to it. And I stumbled upon the idea of, taking a head shell, a turntable head shell, getting it polished. And I released it like that. And it was, I'd say, like a lukewarm response. But then I got interest from Red Bull they asked me if I could engrave the logos on there. And then that kind of triggered the idea of like, wait a minute. And I started doing research on that. And then now, once that happened, it's been 8 years. In the last 3-4 years, that's kind of taken off to where, people are about branding. People have ego, so they want to see their name.
Yeah.
People don't want their head shell stolen. So if your name's on your head shell, I'm not going to take them because it's your name on there.
Yeah.
And then it kind of picked up, and I used my network of DJs that I already knew. And then once I've sold the shell to them, or if I give it to like a Jazzy Jeff and they post it, it triggers like.
Yeah,
it's like very organic.
Where do you get that from?
Where do you get it from? Or you have, I want them too. Then, and that's how I've kind of done a very organic marketing of the product, and it's cool because I say I'm still involved, but I've evolved.
Yeah.
So I get equally excited about the Smoking Shells thing as I would DJing something wherever. Like it's the same feeling.
Because I saw you set aside for a DJ Khaled. Like there's just a lot of DJs that have
crazy,
these now.
Man. It's like really, it's really cool to see it. It's like having I don't have any kids, but I imagine it's like the kid taking his first step. You know what I mean? You're like, wow, I helped create that, and look, it's walking now.
Because it's a thing now on its own.
It's like I call it a cog. Like, like, it's a part of the DJ culture. Which, as a kid, I would always try and invent something. Always taking stuff apart and then come back and there's 3 screws left. Like I didn't put it back together right. That's the nature of who I am. Creating, and so to have this happen and knowing how I am as a person, it just made perfect sense that like I've actually created something that does give back to DJ culture, and people identify with it.
And it's an important part of DJing because the needles
for now, right?
Pretty much, for now, technically for now, but it's super important. Like it connects you to the music. Literally,
you know what? That's a great way to look at it. It connects you to the music. It absolutely does, and it works for vinyl as well as the digital platforms. And it's it's a very small company, but we're making like a really cool little bit of noise. Like I think it's really, to me, it's crazy that no one else has not only thought about it, that hasn't tried to copy it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of moving parts to get it done, but if you really sit down and look at it, you could probably figure it out. A smart person could figure it out. But it's really cool to know that when people see it, like, they know it.
You.
And I've seen it pop up in the movies, TV shows where the DJs might have and they use it. So it's just amazing to just see it just pop up. And it's such a small thing, you really have to look and squint.
Yeah.
But then if you see a logo,
you'll know.
You know.
You know.
So that's like my little baby. Yeah.
So what's next for you for the future for DJing? Like are you done? You retired, or are you still doing shows every so often?
I'll still do like I call them just like curated shows that are like once a year somewhere, or Fashion Week, something cool at Fashion Week that's not your typical Fashion Week. Something's like in the vein of the stuff I like to play or whatever.
Okay.
But I don't want to be like in a club like hounding down promoters for the money.
That's a young boys thing, man.
It is, man. It's like I don't even. Sometimes I get offers for gigs and I'll be like, let me check my schedule, and I just know it's just the whole. You move beyond. You grow out of. You grow out of it, and it's like there's only so many times you can take a request for Despacito. That's all I'm saying.
So. He's just like, yo, I'm done. Like, I don't care
it's like, but I still want to, like I said, be involved. I help younger DJs. Smoking Show sponsors festivals and stuff, so I still put together DJ squads, but I don't have to always be at the forefront. And what I always ask like artists I work with, and I've had to ask myself, that is like, if you, let's say you're a singer, would you be equally excited if you got a contract or you got some young kid a contract? And that's a hard question to answer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've been able to answer it as far as DJing, where I'm as excited to be in the logistics side of things and not have to be the one on stage spinning.
Well, I think for hip hop and the culture is that, you know, once you reach a certain level, you're supposed to reach back and grab the next generation and help them up.
For sure.
And I think that's one of the biggest things that we're missing right now.
For sure.
A lot of people, they just get there and they just stop.
Yep.
Because when I started DJing, somebody else was doing it. So I was able to watch them and, you know, in my high school, so I could see what they were doing, learn how they did it, what kind of records they buy, go to the store with them. So like all of those things helped create, you know, what type of DJ I am.
Sure.
And I think it's super important that, you know, you reach back and just help the next guys in.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that's a big deal to me.
Absolutely.
Anyways, I think we're at the end of this thing. Thank you so much, man,
Great questions.
for coming through.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. So everybody, please like and subscribe, and we're gonna do this again. I think this thing went out pretty good.
It was cool. It was great.
It was great. All right, thank you, man.
Except you didn't have any water for us.
Yeah, I know. Next time, we're gonna get some Fuji water. Next time, go for the top.
Good call.
All right, peace out, everybody.
Thank you.